Welcome back to Liberating Minds, and today, guys, we want to share with you 10 progressive books that we think you should read. It's a must read for this year. Now, the first book is Key Points in Kenyan History from 1885 to 1990. This book is published by Vita Books, and it was published last year in 2022. It's a very, very good guide on Kenyan history. It's not a dense book, just a guide on Kenyan history from 1885.
Another must-read, viewers, is Gama Pinto, Kenya's Unsung Martyr, written by Shiraz Durrani, who is a progressive and revolutionary writer. This book is also published by Vita Books. It was published in the year 2018. This book is important, comrades, because it gives a history of the work and the contributions of Gama Pinto in Kenya's history, and generally it gives an overview of the struggle that was going on in Kenya during the run-up to our independence and in the few years after our independence. So if you are interested in looking at our history, in looking at the root causes of the issues that are going on in our society today, this book is a must read.
And the third book that you must read, also published in 2022, written by Gilbert Mwangi, is on the legendary Muthoni Nyanjiru. Now, Muthoni Nyanjiru is not a myth. I know most people might not have heard the name Muthoni Nyanjiru, but it is a historical fact that she existed, and you can read this book to get more on her historical role in leading resistance against colonialism in Kenya.
Pedagogy of the Oppressed has always been a book that many people are interested in, many people talk about. It's written by Paulo, Freire, and this is definitely a book that community organizers, people who are working with mass movements, people who want to make a change in the society, people who are working within communities should look at and should go through this year. If you haven't gone through this book, please do so. It gives an analysis of what community organizing is all about, and it basically serves as an introductory material for people who would like to work within the communities to make a difference.
Another book written by the Kenyan organic intellectuals reflecting on the legacy of Gama Pinto. As my colleague had shared on Gama Pinto, the book written by Shiraz Durrani, this team of writers read that book and reflected on his legacy, and so it's an important book that looks at the relevant legacy of Gama Pinto.
In the midst of this political and economic crisis, in the midst of basically this, local and international situation where we are seeing this neoliberal economic system coming to a dead end, or rather facing an enormous crisis, what better book than Marx, A Beginner's Guide by Gil Hans? This is a book that enables readers to understand political economy, to understand basically what capitalism is all about, to understand the very, very basic foundations of this economic mode of production, and to see, therefore, the root causes of this economic strain that has begun to plague not only people here in Kenya or Africa, but everywhere in the world. So Marx, A Beginner's Guide is a book that people should go through. If you haven't gone through, please, this is something you must go through this year.
And the recent published book, Cabral, Pinto, Willy, Mutunga, and Cabral. And this is a very recent published book in December 2022 by Vita Books. Cabral Pinto is a pseudonym that former Chief Justice Willy Mutunga wrote under on issues concerning pro-democracy and liberation politics. So this is another must-read book on Chief Justice Mutunga.
A path not taken. The Story of Joseph Murumbi is a book that lovers of history should go through. It gives an account, a historical account of the contributions of Joseph Murumbi to Kenya's liberation struggle, his experiences in the political sphere, and also his work as a cultural collector. So this is a book that anybody who's interested in all that information and knowledge, and anybody who's generally interested in Kenya's history during the run-up to our independence and in the first few years of our independence, as well as in looking at the cultural history of the country, should look at this year.
Stronger Than Faith, My Journey in the Quest for Justice in Repressive Kenya, 1958 to 2015, is the book by Oduor Ong'wen. Again, this book is published by Vita Books, and it also came out in 2022, last year. And it carries a lot of history that Oduor Ong'wen was part of, and as chapters on the various thematics concerning our Kenyan history.
In order to access these books, feel free to come to Ukombozi Library. We are located at University Way at Uni House building. You can also find any of these books in any of our local bookshops here in Nairobi and across the country as well. Feel free to also visit the website of Ukombozi Library. The link to that is shared in the description below. You can also find copies of these books online through those links as shared.
Guys, watch, comment, subscribe, and share.
Because a people without the knowledge of their history is like a tree without its roots. Marx Gav.
Hizi pingu zimenifunga zikanishinda kusonga mbele, nashindwa kanta shinda hapa milele, nahitaji ukombozi sahi, nahitaji ukombozi